published in 2019. I first learned of Love Thy Body last year in 2022, and I assumed that a book on life and sexuality would be out of date already, with how fast our culture has shifted to embrace the transgender movement. To remember how fast the world has changed over the last several years, in 2019, Dennis Prager was on the Bill Maher Show. And while on this show, he claimed that the left was saying that men can menstruate. He was laughed off the show. He was ridiculed for making such a claim. How dare Dennis Prager say that the left would claim that men can menstruate? Well, fast forward to 2023, and now Dylan Mulvaney, a man, is an official Tampax spokesperson because it is insulting to suggest that men can't menstruate. What a dramatic shift. And I thought surely Love Thy Body would be old news today. And to my shock, it's not. In fact, I would guess that Love Thy Body would have a deeper impact on readers in 2023 than it would have back in 2019, because we can see how accurate Nancy Pearcey was in her critique and evaluation of the queer or LGBTQ movement. But Love Thy Body isn't simply a book that is out to attack those who are in the LGBTQ community. In fact, this book is a tool of immense importance for all people to learn what it means to love thy body, and why it is so important to be a people who love the body that our Creator has so graciously given to us. So let's talk for a few moments about Love Thy Body and why you should love your body. Welcome to Rev Reads, your home for book reviews from the perspective of a pastor. If you're new to the channel and want to discover more books that will help you have a better grasp on yourself and who you are and how you relate to today's culture, please subscribe to the channel in order to stay up to date with the most current reviews. And also, if you're a regular of the channel, please like this video, share this one with other people to help them learn about the outstanding work of Nancy Pearcey. Nancy Pearcey helps the reader to understand the foundation of the LGBTQ movement, which from now on, for simplicity, I'll just refer to as the queer movement. Now, I think we would normally view queer culture as anti-God or anti-religious, but it has a religious foundation that Pearcey brings to light in this book, and that religion just happens to be the same one that plagued the early church: Gnosticism. Gnosticism hates the physical and loves the spiritual. It finds holiness in the mind and in the spiritual. A common Gnostic belief was that Christ was a spirit that came upon Jesus and then left Jesus before the crucifixion. And then also that the God of the Old Testament who created this world was a lesser God, an evil God than the God of the New Testament, because he was involved with the creation of that which is physical. The Gnostic abhorred physical creation, and the Gnosticism of today follows a similar practice. They separate the physical body from the immaterial or the spiritual self. As Pearcey writes of this philosophy, it places a low value on the material world as purely particles in motion with no higher purpose or meaning. And this is exactly what the queer movement is doing with the body. You were not born male with the purpose of fulfilling a male role and male functions with your body. You're not born a female with the purpose of fulfilling the female roles and functions for your body. Instead, you're just a mere mechanism with no intrinsic person, purpose, or dignity with your body. Therefore, you should just get whatever joy you can out of your body, however you determine that you should. And therefore, since a woman has no purpose to be a mother or to reproduce, the child in her womb has no purpose as well. Well, you could say it does have a purpose if she can gain joy from it, but if she decides she doesn't want the baby in the womb, then it's an intruder, a mass of invasive cells. The body no longer is a work of art by God, but a random chance from evolution. Remember, the body is so purposefully made in God's plan for his people that a heavenly, a spiritual domain cannot be our end. but we will return to a united new heaven and new earth in a physical resurrected body. I think Paul may have been writing against an early Gnostic view in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 when he wrote, "But if there is no resurrection of the dead, not even Christ has been raised. And if Christ has not been raised, then our preaching is vain, and your faith also is vain." If we deny the future resurrection of the body, we are denying the faith. This is how crucial the body-mind unity in us is before God. And so while our culture wants to draw these clear lines between you as a person and then your physical body, you see this in hookup culture. Hookup culture encourages people to have sex without emotional connections, to gain the physical pleasure and connection without the personal connection. The scripture comes and tells us that is impossible because your body is you. You are your body. When you hate your body and carve it up because you think you are a woman when your body is male, you are hating yourself and carving yourself up. The problem with hookup culture, transgenderism, homosexuality, and abortion is not that they are too selfish, but that those views are built on hate. The hate of the body, the hate of the self. If a woman loved herself and her body, she would love the body and the mind together that God gave her. She would love the wonder of how she was designed to grow a new life in her womb. She would embrace the joy that her body is chemically engineered to unite with a single partner and grow a life through that union in her body. But the queer movement, following along in its Gnostic roots, teaches people that your body isn't you. It is just random flesh that can be twisted, drugged, and used to bring whatever momentary pleasures your mind and feelings want to gain from it in that moment. This is really a hatred of the body in order to prefer the mind or the immaterial. This is Gnosticism. But we were created male and female. We were created body and spirit. I take the view that when the Bible speaks of the soul or the life, it is speaking of the body and the spirit as one. A soul is not the you that will be in heaven when you die, an immaterial soul, but the soul is all of you. The soul is the body and the spirit united as one. You don't need that view to appreciate the book, and Nancy never makes that point throughout, but that illustrates how God made us, and that if you harm your body, you are harming yourself. And the information that is found in this book on numerous topics related to the body and our treatment of it are gold. Especially important is what she writes on the political and cultural ramifications of embracing Gnosticism today. You see, once the body is no longer a defining characteristic of who you are, we saw this change with the legalization of gay marriage. No longer did it matter that it was male and female who was joining together, but it was any two people who desired to have a committed, legally bonded relationship together. At that moment, unlike any before, we began to live by the lie and say our bodies don't matter. How they're constituted isn't what's important. So if a man believes he's a woman, it's his belief that counts and not his body. So let's go let him compete and swim against the women. If two women or two men want to pay to impregnate a woman so that they can raise that child for their own, if they desire it, that's fine. Who are we to judge? The body doesn't matter. Motherhood, fatherhood, those aren't crucial. They're just social constructs. And before we know it, parental rights will be a thing of the past. The most revealing part of the book for me was on pages 212 and 213 on the print version. On one page, she first writes on how breastfeeding must now be called chest feeding because men can breastfeed, which kind of seemed crazy back in 2019, Nancy. Like who would be saying such a thing could happen? And she's already asking the question that Matt Walsh used to set off a firestorm in 2020, what is a woman? Well, on the very next page, Nancy takes it a step further by asking not what is a woman, but what is a parent? If you can't define a woman based upon biology, you also can't define a parent on biology. More fundamentally, the state now gets to decide who counts as a child's parent. Until now, it was nature, biological relationship that defined who counts as a parent. The state saw its role as merely recognizing reality. But under Sogai laws, there will no longer be a presumption in favor of the child's biological parents. We are seeing this come to pass. If your daughter wants to become your son and you as a parent disagree, you can lose your parental rights in many areas because being a parent isn't biologically based anymore. Now, I got to say, there are so many reasons to read Love Thy Body. From the important teaching on the body-spirit relationship to how these issues impact the way that we relate to others in our culture, and also the importance of loving those who have been ensnared by the queer movement. If you have not read Love Thy Body yet by Nancy Pearcey, this is the time to do it. Let's make this work a 2023 bestseller. As I write this review, it is now currently ranked number 40 in Christian social issues on Amazon, and I would love to once again see it be number 1.